Pancreas. Pancreas is this gland located just below and behind the stomach, and it is called as heterocrine gland. Hetero refers to two different functional parts in the pancreas. One is it has endocrine parts which secrete the hormone. Second, it has exocrine parts which secrete the enzymes. And if we observe the location as mentioned earlier, it lies along the posterior margin of stomach in the loop of duodenum. So this is the duodenum part that is of a small intestine, and inside this loop we have the pancreas. Now pancreas is important because it has two functioning as mentioned earlier. Here we can see different types of cells. So here we have exocrine part and we have endocrine part, that is islets of Langerhans. And in this islet of Langerhans also we have different types of cells like alpha cells, beta cells and delta cells. All of them have rich supply of blood capillary. Now exocrine part produces enzymes and it is in the collection that is known as pancreatic juice, and this is carried with the help of a pancreatic duct into the duodenum. So basically you will have a duct like that leads to duodenum, and digestive enzymes will be poured into the duodenum and it helps in digestion. But endocrine part is different because we know that it doesn't have a duct. So this will just release the hormones directly into the bloodstream and into the blood capillary, from where it will be carried away. And this contains a small group of endocrine cells, that is islets of Langerhans, and they secrete main hormones, that is insulin and glucagon. Now if we see the insulin functioning, it is important because it controls carbohydrate metabolism. What does it mean? That means it converts extra amount of glucose that is present in the blood into a storage form, that is glycogen, and this will be stored in two types of cells, that is liver and muscle cells. Now if insulin is not maintained in the proper levels, that can lead to improper levels or imbalance in the level of glucose. Now we can see if hyposecretion of insulin is found, that is less secretion, blood glucose level will rise, that is it will lead to a sugar increase in the bloodstream. This will affect the urine output because more of glucose will be excreted in the urine, and the disorder is termed as diabetes mellitus, commonly known as sugar disease, or we can also call it as hyperglycemia. Hyper means more, glycemia means glucose presence. Similarly, if there is hypersecretion of insulin, then there will be more of this conversion of glucose into storage form, and that leads to lowering of glucose level in blood. And we know glucose provides energy. If glucose amount is less, that leads to a person becoming very weak. So if blood glucose becomes too low, a person becomes unconscious and may collapse, and it requires immediate medical attention. Now the second hormone produced by these islets of Langerhans is glucagon. Glucagon is antagonistic to insulin, that is it has a opposite effect compared to the insulin. If insulin is lowering the extra glucose amount, then glucagon will increase it. So it basically stimulates this breakdown of stored glycogen into glucose to rise the glucose level in blood or in body. So basically we have a chemical reaction where glucose will be converted into storage form, that is glycogen, and this is mediated by a hormone, that is insulin. And the opposite occurs by the help of a hormone known as glucagon. So here we have to mind glucagon is the hormone, glycogen is the stored food material.